Hey, what's up guys? I'm Alan. Welcome back to another video from Alan's Inventions. In this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to take a battery like this one and power all sorts of different accessories like one of these LED lights, a stereo, or even some of these like off-road lights. So the reason you would want to do this is if you have a trailer, a shed, or some place or building or something, or even a vehicle where you need power and you just don't have a good power source. So this whole box that I built is actually a converter for these batteries. What I mean by a converter is if you want to use these batteries to do something useful, it's really easy. You just have to understand how it works. In the simplest terms, it takes the 18 volts from this battery. Well, it ranges from 17 to 20 depending how charged it is. And it converts it into 12 volts, which you can then use to power any 12 volt accessory. So my box here has a main switch, some USB outlets, a 12 volt DC out, and then a couple of side outputs for all your different accessories. So let me show you guys how I built this. All right, so before I get into explaining how the box works and how I built it, here's a rough drawing of how everything is connected. There's some built-in features and specifics that I'll get into later, but this is a rough overview of how everything is wired. To begin, I drilled all the holes I would need on this box. There's holes for the battery cables, the switch panel, and the 4 outputs on each side. Once all those were drilled, I installed the plates for the switches, then mounted the battery adapter on the outside of the box, and here's how all that kind of looked. From there, I mounted the master panel and main on-off switch. The battery leads will plug into the main power switch. On the output of that switch, I wired the voltage reader and the converter. So it goes from the battery to the main on-off switch to the voltage reader and then to the converter. This converter is going to take the 18 volts from the battery and convert it down to 12. The trade-off in that is that they produce a little bit more heat. The more things you're using, the hotter it will get. After that, I mounted the fuse box onto the plate. I did also install this grounding bar. This is going to basically ground all my components together. So the output of the converter is going to go here, and then the grounds from the switches will also connect to this bar here. And then I also made a wire harness that basically distributes the power from the converter into the fuse box, so they all share the same output. Also, don't forget to adjust your fuse capacity for whatever it is that you're using. Alright, so after that, I went ahead and mounted the plate into the box and I screwed that down. So the box came with this plate like I said earlier, and it just made everything even easier to assemble. So I ended up using these automotive terminals to connect everything together, and then I just put some heat shrinks over it so it wouldn't short. Then after that, it was time to install the USB ports and the 12 volt cigarette lighter. So these two were wired to one of the outputs of the fuse box and then to the grounding bar. So I went the USB ports to one fuse and then the cigarette lighter to another fuse, which leads right into my switches, which I did pre-wire except for the outputs, and then I installed those. And these also get wired individually to the fuse box. That way every switch, the USB ports, and the 12 volt cigarette lighter are all protected by an individual fuse. As you can tell, the wiring was getting a little bit messy inside the box, so it was just time for some easy cable management. After that, I cut and prepped my output adapters for installation. The cool thing about these is that both sides will get used. One goes on the box and the other one can be soldered or crimped onto whatever I want to power. And I forgot to mention it earlier, but all the grounds of the switches are pre-wired together, so they just go to the bus bar, and I was able to reuse that cable that came with the switch panel when I bought it. So if you can't tell, the output adapters were the last thing to be wired. After those were in, it was time for the most important part of this whole build, deciding what stickers to use. And as you can see, I went with some high quality, high class, pristine, best looking stickers that came with the kit I bought. And then now that the stickers were on, I just wanted to let you guys know that because my switches do have 2 LEDs, the bottom one will automatically come on once I turn the box on, and it will work as a fuse indicator. So to finish it off, I already assembled everything, and the way that I did this is modular, so you could pretty much mount it anywhere you want. The box did come with a couple of brackets to mount on a wall, but I decided not to do that. I figured, you know, if you want to take it somewhere, it's fully portable and it's easier to, at least for me, just use in different places. But here's kind of the final product on the inside if you're curious on mine. Not really much different than what I was building. So pretty straightforward, easy to assemble. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. Please hit the like, subscribe, and notifications button. And I'll see you guys in the next one.